Perspective, I'm married with two children, one that's in second year university, one that's in grade 11, pretty active in a lot of different ways, sports, things like that, and travel fairly extensively. From a business perspective, last couple of years I've taken a bit of a step back and from day-to-day activities, and now I mostly serve as a director in a number of different companies that I've either helped found or have invested in. I think it was back in, might have been the fall of 1981, if I'm not mistaken, when I was a third-year university student at the University of Alberta, and for some reason, which I can't remember now, I decided to go to a presentation on College Pro, and thought it sounded like an intriguing idea, and so I took the leap, and that summer of 1982 I ran my first franchise in Medicine Hat, Alberta. It was a tremendous experience. It was a great learning experience from really from all aspects. I'd say it was one of those first life learning experiences that you know, different people go through them at different times. But for me, it was one where it was, as I recall now, it was a tremendous amount of hard work, and I had no idea of really the work that I was getting into. But a huge learning experience, both in terms of the responsibility, the ability to make money. But I think most importantly, what it gave me was the understanding, in a small way, of how a business runs, and the different challenges involved in running a business, both from you know, right from the selling aspect of it to the managing part of it. You know, I think back then, I'm not sure because it's a few years ago. I'm pretty sure I thought it sounded like a neat thing to do. I liked the aspect of the independence of it, and the fact that you got control over your own life by, in essence, working for yourself and not working for someone else. There's no question, I think I was motivated by you know, the thought that maybe you could make it'd be a pretty decent summer job. After I ran that franchise in 1982, I was in my third year of university, so I went ahead and finished an undergraduate Bachelor of Commerce degree at University of Alberta in Edmonton in 82, worked for a couple of years, went back to school to take my MBA at the University of Western Ontario. Matter of fact, I ran a second College Pro franchise in, I think that would have been the summer of 1984 in London, Ontario, got my MBA. Worked for a couple of years for TD Bank in Calgary, mostly dealing with small businesses. And then for about 8 years, Bank of Montreal in Calgary, ending up running most of the independent oil and gas lending group for Bank of Montreal. Worked for a U.S. bank for a year, selling mostly derivatives, currency and commodity derivatives. And then in 1996, with a couple partners that were former university friends, started the first oil and gas company, a company called Cyprus Energy. We started it with $6 million. It was a public oil and gas company. We started it with a $6 million initial public offering. We sold stock at 20 cents a share, mostly to friends and family, frankly, and a few business associates. Ran that company for 5 years, fairly successfully. So when we sold it, the stock was at $14 a share, so we'd taken it from 20 cents to $14, and from the initial $6 million IPO to the value at the time of the sale, I think it was about $825 million. And we've grown it from zero production to just under 20,000 barrels of oil equivalent today. So that was the first oil and gas company. It took basically the same group of people, and a year later we started a second oil and gas company called Cyprus Energy, and we started it with about $8 or $9 million in funding. Ran it for about 2.5 years, put money in. Stock was about $1 when we started, and 2.5 years later we sold that one for about $800 million, and the stock was about $10 or $11 a share at the time we sold it. Subsequent to that, immediately went back in and started another oil and gas company called Cyries Energy. Ran that one as CEO for about 4.5 years. I think we started that one at about $1.60 a share, and the stock, I think, hit a high of about $18 a share in 2008 at the time that we sold that company as well. And then subsequent to that, as I said, I sort of took a little time off from the day-to-day involvement with different companies. Mostly, as I say, I sit on about 11 boards today, 2 charitable organizations, 6 public companies. I serve as chairman of 2 of the publicly traded companies, and 3 private companies as well. So tend to keep a little busy based on serving as a director. I think College Pro did a number of things that helped me really for the rest of my life. It did give me a taste of business, and I think that initial taste of success running a summer business where you actually make a little bit of money at it, and it's the realization that you can actually solve some of those problems and create a business out of it. I think College Pro, in a lot of ways, gave me my first taste of entrepreneurial success. And what it did, moreover, is that it gave me a desire to repeat that experience again. And in a large way, it gave me some of the confidence. The confidence and the desire to simply make the effort. Because I find with people that are considering starting businesses or have an entrepreneurial urge, a lot of the difficulty is getting that start, and so it's just making the effort to get the start. So College Pro helped me in a lot of ways, I think, to really give me a taste for that. I would say to try it, as long as you feel that you're capable of making the effort. As I say, with a lot of people, and I find there's a lot of parallels between, say, running a franchise like a College Pro franchise or any other business. I sometimes, when people ask me about it, what I say is that it's almost like when you're starting a business, it's almost like standing on the edge of a cliff, and when you look over that cliff, it looks like a pretty long ways down, and it's very difficult to make that first step, as I call it, where you leap off the cliff. So my advice would be that you take that step, because rarely does it not work, because even if perhaps you're not as financially successful as you would like to be in running a business, and I would say this is especially true of a College Pro franchise, you're at a stage in your life where, frankly, you can and you should probably, and you can afford to make a few mistakes. So even if it isn't financially as successful as you would really want it to be, you learn so much valuable experience by going through the process that is rewarding enough in itself that I think it helps you, inevitably it helps you later in life no matter what you do. I think it's similar. Running any business has a lot of similarities. I learned that in business school, and I certainly learned it through practical application. And it really doesn't matter whether it's an oil and gas company, frankly, or whether you're running a pizza franchise, or whether you're running a College Pro franchise. A lot of the elements of business are the same, and so as a result, the things as businesses grow and get bigger, you do get more involved with people, so some of the management skills, I think, are very important to work on. Understanding the general business environment also becomes very important things to understand. Well, I would recommend, and the reason I do is that I think, especially if you're in university, universities, as we all know, tend to be more academic, maybe not as much of an emphasis on the practical realities of life. And what happens is that, similar to a co-op program at a school, what happens is I think you get a lot of very applicable real life experience by being exposed to a business. And again, it's a small business, but every business has the same general characteristics. They're just in different degrees or different magnitudes. So I think it's a tremendous addition to an academic education, because it gives you that sense of it gives you the practical aspect, or the sense of real practical application of what you learn. I think from a business perspective, I'm fortunate now that I get to be involved with a number of different companies, so I get to stay engaged, and I get to hopefully use some of the experience that I've gained, especially in the oil and gas industry, but again in other industries, to help other companies start. And I enjoy seeing that. I enjoy seeing companies begin. I enjoy seeing people succeed, and so I get to be involved, not so much at the day-to-day level anymore, but I get to be involved enough that I can observe and hopefully help out where I can with some of those. And so I'm very happy to do that from a business perspective, and I think a person in life never stops learning. So hopefully in the future, what I can do is, if I've got a little more time freed up on a day-to-day basis, then I get to do more fun stuff, and which involves both traveling, but hopefully a little education and things like learning other languages, etc. I had a quote. I was given something when I was young, and I never really understood what it meant. And it was a little saying that says, "You have to have a dream before it can come true." And what I interpret that to mean is that you have to really sit back and think about what you would like to achieve in your life, and that becomes your dream. And then you have to work hard to achieve it. But if you have a dream, and if you put in enough effort, most people can achieve almost anything that they would like. The other advice I would give to people that are thinking of, say, entrepreneurial or thinking of starting a business is make sure you understand your motivations for doing it. And I have no problem making money, and I think money is a good motivator, because at the end of the day, you need to be hungry. But it is more than just the money aspect of it when you start a business. And I think one of the really important driving characteristics of what you need to be a successful entrepreneur is it's a desire to create something. It's two things in my mind. It's a desire to create something that produces value, but it's creating something that really makes a difference. And I think you need that ingredient into it to really make it successful. If all you want to do is make money and that's your only goal, then I don't know that should be your driving goal. As I say, I think no problem wanting to make money, but you need to want to build something around it at the same time.